Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. Welcome back. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to do something that I'm calling my powder shootout, in which I'll be comparing 6 of my favorite powders using a Hornady 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet, and I'll be testing each of these doing a ladder run with velocities from 3,000 to 3,200 feet per second. In order from the slowest burning powder to the fastest burning powder, we'll be shooting CFE 223, Varget, H335, Accurate 2460, IMR 3031, and Accurate 2200. We will take these in order week by week, and we will post the results so you can see exactly which powders perform with these bullets. All right? In the ongoing saga of our powder shootout, next up is Varget with the 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet, and we'll be shooting charge weights from 24.2 grains to 26 grains of powder, with 26 grains being the maximum charge weight and producing 3,200 feet per second in velocity. And of course, we start low and we work our way up. Since we're shooting the maximum load this time with this particular powder, we will look for pressure signs as we shoot. All right, so let's get to it. All right, welcome back. This is part 2 of the powder shootout, and we'll be featuring Varget powder with charge weights from 24.2 to 26 grains of powder. These will be producing velocities between 3,000 feet per second and 3,200 feet per second based on the value shown in the Hornady reloading manual. Shooting at 100 yards, as always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results at the end. And I will be shooting 5 barrel warming / fouling shots before I begin shooting. All right, shooting at 100 yards. All right, let's bring them in and take a look. All right, so here on target number 2, I had one failure to load. For whatever reason, I guess the case wasn't properly sized. But we had one failure to load. And then on my last group over here, number 5, I had one failure to fire due to a bad primer. Tried it twice, failed both times. But these look somewhat similar. This is probably my most scattered group. This one is stringing vertically, pretty tight cluster here with looks like 3 flowers right here. And I'm going to guess this is probably my best group because these seem to be the most consistent. Right here, there's a nice group clustered together here. But it looks like maybe 2 rounds down here. So we will take these home. We will measure these with the Hornady 4DOF Ballistics app using the group analysis function, and we will get back to you with the results. All right, in this video, we're shooting a 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet using Varget powder, and we're shooting charge weights from 24.2 to 26 grains each. And 26 grains is the maximum load for the Varget powder. So as we approach there, we're looking for pressure signs. Did not see any. All the brass was fine. So we were good there. And we'll look at these individually here in a second. But what I did notice was that as the charge weight increased, the point of aim began to shift down and to the right. So at the beginning, we're shooting just left of center here, as you can see in this photo. Then in the second target, we're shooting 23 hundredths to the right of center and 52 hundredths above the point of aim. In the next photo, we're shooting at 11 hundredths and 37 hundredths above the point of aim. In target number 4, we're shooting 29 hundredths to the right and 25 hundredths high. In the last photo, we're shooting 0.45 hundredths to the right and 0.22 high. So what's happening here is that charge rate is increasing, that barrel is twisting and torquing, because 2 of the laws of physics are that an item at rest will remain at rest until another force acting on that object causes it to move. And of course, the object at rest is the bullet inside of that chamber. And then when it's fired, there's another law of physics that comes into place that says that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So that bullet is at rest, and it's being forced down that barrel, and that barrel is rifled. So as that bullet is traveling down that rifled barrel, that bullet is spinning. Well, that bullet is also exerting torque on that rifle barrel, and it's causing the rifle barrel to twist as well. So that would explain why, as the charge weights increase, the barrel is torquing and we're shooting further to the right and further down because it's twisting this way and pointing down. Typically, with an increase in velocity, you would expect to see an increase in the height. But what's happening is because that barrel is twisting, those rounds are being forced down and to the right. All right, so let's look at these individually. So here's a picture of the 24.2 grains shooting at 3,000 feet per second in velocity. This lowest charge weight happened to also be the best group of the day. And so we had an extreme spread. You're looking at this blue line here from here to here with the points marked here. That's 1.21 inches, so just about 1.25 inches on the extreme spread. But we've got a mean radius of 0.3 inches. And as you can see, the average point of impact is a little bit high and to the left. I intentionally sighted the rifle so that it would shoot high. And this is the barrel warming group that I shot to start with. We had a 0.82 inch group. And this is how it was shooting. And if you put it up against the target there, you can see that it's still shooting very similarly, high and to the left. Okay, but as the charge weight increases, we move over to our second target, which is 27.4 grains of powder and 3,050 feet in velocity. We see that point of impact go a little higher and a little bit to the right. So where it was shooting left before, now it's shooting to the right. We had a 1.29 extreme spread from this point to this point, and we had a mean radius of 0.44. We move on to our third target. We're now shooting 25.1 grains, and we're traveling at 3,100 feet per second. This is our extreme spread, which is just over 1.5 inches at 1.53 from this bullet to this bullet. and we had a mean radius of 0.46. So again, it's shooting just to the right of center and high. And it's coming down a little bit because of that barrel torquing. So it's starting to twist and come down. At 25.6 grains, target number 4, here's your average point of impact, and that matches the white X on the photograph to the left here. And we had an extreme spread of 1.61 and a mean radius of 0.55. Now, of course, a radius is half of a circle, so this shows you why it's important to measure by mean radius and not just extreme spread. Because if you're only looking at extreme spread, you've got a 1.61 inch group. But if you're looking at mean radius, you've got 0.55, and a radius is half of a circle. So if you double that, that becomes 1.1. So on an average 10-shot group where you've got an extreme spread of 1.61, you've got an average group size of 1.1 inches, meaning you've probably got a 90% chance of hitting a 1-inch target at 100 yards. All right, and then lastly, we shot our max load of 26 grains at 3,200 feet per second, and we had an extreme spread of 1.29 inches, and we had a mean radius of 0.44, which gives you an average group size of 0.88. So it's interesting here, I've noticed that on the extreme spread, the angle of the line that you draw through there is not quite a 45-degree angle, but as the charge weight increases, that angle tends to steepen. We increase it, it steepens even further. And it may not be relevant because then when we increase it again, it goes back to where it was at before. But then when we increase that, that angle steepens again. And it's interesting here, I think, too, on this particular powder charge, how many of these bullets align. Here's your extreme spread, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are right along that line here. Same thing over here at the 26 grains. Here's your extreme spread, but you've got 1, 2, 3, and I would say this one 4 and 5 right along that same line. Here at 25.1 grains. So here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or so shots lined up on that vertical line where your extreme spread is found. Over here, you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 pretty much lined up on that line for the extreme spread. And then on the first group, we've got 1, 2, 3, looks like 4, 5, 6 lined up on that line where you find the extreme spread. So apparently that has something to do with how I'm holding my rifle. And I do know that on these last 2 groups, when I was starting out shooting these first 3 groups, I was holding the rifle pretty snug against my shoulder because I had read or heard somewhere that holding the rifle snug, you have less movement in the reticle. But I found that by just letting it lie loosely on the bag and not pulling it snug into my shoulder, I wouldn't say that I had a better grouping, but I felt better shooting. In any event, these are my results from the range today. So what I found here, the takeaway here is that it seems again like the lower charge weight at the 3,000 feet per second in velocity is giving me the better group. We had a flyer here that kind of threw it off, so we've got a 1.21 group. But if you take that flyer or those 2 flyers out of there, you've got a group of 8 that are right at or just under an inch here. So what I'm probably going to do is do some more testing here and drop down below this 3,000 foot per second mark, because as we increase, those groups seem to spread out and widen out and kind of deteriorated. So I'm going to go the opposite direction and see if backing down on that charge weight will help us to improve there. All right, so those are my results. I hope you found something here that'll benefit you. As always, if you have a comment, thought, idea, or suggestion, please leave that below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.